One morning in Capernaum, Jesus was walking past the synagogue when he heard one of his disciples inside, praying. The disciple was using the traditional prayers he'd been taught since childhood. The same phrases everyone used. The same words repeated in every temple, every gathering, every religious ceremony. And when the disciple finished, Jesus walked in. The disciple looked up, expecting approval. But Jesus' face was serious. He said, "Do you know what you just said? Do you understand the words you spoke?" The disciple was confused. "Master, I was praying. The way we were taught. The way everyone prays." Jesus shook his head. "There are 3 words, spoken by billions of people. In every prayer. In every religion. Christians say them. Muslims say them. Jews say them. Hindus, Buddhists, all of them. Everyone thinks these words are sacred, holy, necessary to reach God. But they weren't given by the monad. They were planted by the archons, embedded into every religious tradition so deeply that no one questions them. And every time you speak these words, you're not praying. You're giving permission, consent, authority to entities that are not the Most High. 3 words that look like submission to God but are actually submission to them. And tonight, I'm going to show you which 3 words, so you never say them again. That teaching was completely removed from the Bible. When the church compiled the scriptures, they kept the prayers. They kept the rituals. They kept every religious formula that contained those 3 words. Because if Christians discovered that the words they thought were connecting them to God were actually blocking their access to the monad and binding them in contract to the demiurge, the entire religious system would collapse. Every prayer would have to be rewritten. Every liturgy would have to be abandoned. And the church couldn't allow that. Because those 3 words are how the archons maintain consent. Legal consent. In every religion. Across every culture. Spoken billions of times per day. But the Gnostics preserved what Jesus actually taught. And tonight, you're learning which 3 words the archons planted in all religions. Where they appear. What they really mean. And why the moment you stop saying them, your direct connection to the monad opens. Not gradually. Immediately. If you're discovering which words block monad connection tonight, comment, "I am sovereign" right now. Before I show you the 3 words, you need to understand how this happened. How the same words ended up in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, every organized religion on the planet. Because most people think religions developed independently. Different cultures, different founders, different sacred texts. And on the surface they look completely different. But when you examine the prayers, the core language, the words used to address the divine, you find the exact same pattern. The same 3 words. In different languages. But identical function. And that's not coincidence. That's design. The archons didn't create just one religion to control humanity. They created the religious system itself. They embedded the same control mechanism into every tradition so that no matter which path you followed, you'd still be speaking the words that give them authority over you. And they positioned these words as sacred, untouchable. Questioning them became heresy. Removing them became blasphemy. So generations of humans repeated them without understanding what they were actually saying. Because in the spiritual realm, words aren't just communication. They're contracts. When you speak certain phrases, especially in the context of prayer or worship, you're not just expressing devotion. You're granting permission. You're establishing agreement. And the archons know this. They can't force you to submit. Free will is cosmic law. But they can trick you into volunteering. And religious language is how they do it. Every time you pray using the 3 words, you're renewing a contract you didn't know you signed. You think you're reaching toward God. But the words themselves are routing your energy, your intention, your spiritual authority through demiurgic channels. Blocking direct monad connection. Keeping you dependent on intermediaries, hierarchies, and entities that claim to be divine but are actually archon-controlled constructs. And this happens billions of times per day. Every Muslim praying 5 times. Every Christian saying grace. Every Jew reciting the Shema. Every Buddhist chanting mantras. All of them using the same 3 words. Different languages. Same trap. You've always felt something was wrong with repetitive prayers. The formulaic phrases. The sense that you're binding yourself to something every time you say them. That heaviness.